Hello everybody, welcome to my webcam camera. I was gonna film this video on my actual camera, but it's deciding not to cooperate with me. Something with the lens and the gimbal inside the camcorder is just like not wanting to work, which is fine. So we're here, and I feel like the vibe is kind of fitting for this being a Q&A anyway, so I recently hit 3,000 subscribers, and thank you very much, by the way. That's like not a lot in the grand scheme of YouTube, but for me is very meaningful. So thank you very much for subscribing. I wanted to start this video just with some basic facts about me, so those are kind of clarified. Not that anyone's like mistaking anything, I don't know. Anyways, my name is Kylie. It does look like Kaylee, but it is pronounced like Kylie. I am 24 years old. I will be turning 25 in July. For those that care, I am a Cancer Sun, Virgo Moon, Scorpio Rising, also Virgo Venus, Leo Mercury, Scorpio Mars. That's the last of the big six. I am an INFJ also, and I think I'm a type 4 Enneagram. I don't remember. That's the one I'm least dialed into. I live in Chicago right now. I've been here for about 3 years now, and I am from Southern California. I'm half Japanese. My mom is from Okinawa, Japan. My dad is from around here in America, and by here I mean around Chicago land. Those are basic facts about me. I have a cat. His name is Forrest, and yeah, those are the main things. First question that I have, I've actually posted like on Instagram twice about this because I was gonna film it like a month ago, and then I didn't, and then so I posted again, and so I will be answering questions from both things. Yeah, so let's get into it. Dream book movie combo, blank author / novel adapted by blank director. I thought about this one a little bit, and I would love to see a novel adapted by Eric Romer. I don't know if he's still alive, to be honest, but let me look. Eric Romer. He died. Okay. He died in 2010. But let's say we bring him back. For this, I would love if he made a movie on swimming in the dark. I feel like him being Eric Romer and swimming in the dark as a novel would be, I feel like they would go well together. I wouldn't say Swimming in the Dark is like one of my favorite books of all time, but I think of the books that I've enjoyed, and Eric Romer being a director that I'm selecting and prioritizing in this question, yeah, Swimming in the Dark, probably. Any potential favorite authors you haven't read from? Off the top of my head, I feel like probably Anne Carson. I haven't read any Anne Carson before, and I feel like that's so out of character for me for some reason. Like, I feel like based off of everything I've read, you would assume that I've read Anne Carson before, but I haven't. So probably her. Any recommendations for someone that loves Clarice Lispector? I would maybe recommend Claire Louise Bennett. Very similar stream of consciousness. I mean, I think Clarice Lispector is better than Claire Louise Bennett if we're putting them against each other, but they're just different. They're different. Also, Virginia Woolf, also stream of consciousness. A little bit more archaic and maybe flowery language, equally hard to follow, I will say. I don't know what else, because I feel like I've tried to branch out, but nothing hits like Clarice Lispector herself, so I will say that. Favorite places to go in Chicago? Great question. I love going to the lake when it's summer. I love Wormhole Coffee in Wicker Park, Open Books in Logan Square and West Loop. I used to live by this bar called Central Park Bar in Avondale, and it's a great bar for the summer. And also there's like a bar club next door called Paul Lachaise. As far as favorite coffee shops, I went to this one only once, but it was kind of everything. It's called Loba, I believe, in Roscoe or maybe North Center, but I think it's like a Mexican owned coffee shop, or at least they had like a bunch of Mexican pastries when I went. Great coffee too. The thing about me is I'm gonna complain if the coffee isn't good. Like, I am a coffee snob through and through, so if I'm going to a coffee shop, I better get a good coffee, because if I don't, I could just get a better coffee at home. Not to be that girl, but that's true. What inspires you for your visual work / art? So if you didn't know, I used to be really into filmmaking and wanted to study that in college, and I didn't. I studied finance and data analytics, which is kind of a complete 180. But you know, I still continued the hobby of doing those things, and I got into motion graphics and After Effects and photography. I started with digital and then I moved into film, and I feel like I do film more often. But as far as inspiration goes, I feel like my favorite artworks are ones that capture like a distinct emotion or moment. I love like candid, like street photography or like more personal photography. I have this little print of an Edvard Munch painting or lithograph, but I really love Edvard Munch. Great artist. Just captures like the melancholic aspects of the human experience so well. I also love Helen Frankenthaler. She's probably my favorite abstract expressionist, and she captures like kind of emotion and memory very well, and kind of just keeping note of the things that move me and asking myself why. And most times it's just like kind of a snapshot or the capturing of a moment or emotion and preserving it and giving people the opportunity to glance into and feel that as well. But I would say that is what inspires me. Top 3 books of all time. That is such a hard question. The Passion According to G.H. by Clarice Lispector, Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and I don't think I could pick a third, because then that would, like, I don't know. I know those 2 are in my top, so I'm just gonna say those 2, and that's it. But that is not the end of the list, certainly. Favorite thing about Chicago? I love Chicago. I love living here. It's a fantastic city, comparably to like a city like New York. It's very affordable. There's so much to do. There are a lot of restaurants and good coffee, and the music scene here is really good as well. And in the summer, like, everyone is like defrosting and pulling up to the park or the lake. I swear there has been a shift as of maybe the past couple weeks here. Complete shift from hibernation mode to let's go out and sit in the sun. And it just really, like, there is like a sense of community and togetherness as we like all experience the seasons in that way. And being somebody from California, it's like kind of the same all year round, which is great in many aspects, but definitely lacks kind of like the community that is created from experiencing weather as a collective. It seems kind of weird, but it is like something that I really noticed about Chicago that I think is really fun. If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live? Probably somewhere in Europe. Ideally, I would love to be able to like be in a French-speaking country or area, because that's a language that I would really like to learn more of, and I feel like with language learning, immersion is such a big part of it. I have visited France and I love Paris, And yeah, so maybe over there, over yonder. Classic recommendations for beginners. Maybe The Great Gatsby, I would say, is accessible. Ernest Hemingway, pretty accessible, but I don't even know if I would recommend because it's kind of boring to me. Kazuo Ishiguro, I would probably say he's more of like a contemporary author. I would say his books will and are considered classics. Annie Ernaux, same thing. She's more contemporary, but I think her work will be classified as classic literature. Maybe Simone de Beauvoir's fiction, I would say. James Baldwin, I would say also. Like Giovanni's Room, I think is something that is pretty accessible, and just also like, I know a lot of different people who have connected with James Baldwin's work. What kind of books did you read when you were younger, like in high school? So fun fact, I was not a big reader when I was in high school. I barely did my English assignments. I was like, oh, I'm more of a math girl, like this isn't my thing, like appreciate and respect it, but I didn't really read. I basically read like John Green and Divergent and stuff when I was like 13, and didn't start reading for pleasure again until college. The high school years were the dark years, if you will, as far as my reading went. Favorite musician? I don't talk about music all that much on here, but I really love music. And I'm just gonna talk about who I've been listening to because I want to. I've been listening to a lot of the Radio Department. There's something very nostalgic about it. I don't know, I'm really into it. Jockstrap, I've really just like been listening to everything. I kind of got into Jockstrap in like the winter of 2022 for the first time, and then I stopped listening to it for a long while, and then I was like, what is this? And then I got back into it. I was like, wait, this is actually kind of good. So yeah. Feeble Little Horse, I also quite like. I wish their songs were longer, but that's okay. Always King Cruel. I love King Cruel. He's probably one of my celebrity crushes too. I've seen him live a few times and he's fucking awesome. So I love King Cruel. I love Charlie XCX. I love Troye Sivan. I love New Jeans. Grimes. The Von Dutch remix with Addison Rae is like one of my guilty pleasure songs. I don't even know if I'm really, I don't feel guilty about it. So anyways, what's your favorite Virginia Woolf book? Orlando. Yeah, out of the ones that I've read, I would say Orlando is my favorite. Probably second would be The Waves. Those two are my top Virginia Woolf books. But Orlando just kind of like blew my mind in terms of its like very experimental like narrative timeline and just everything. It's great. I loved it. What book feels like you could have written it? I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if there is a book that I feel like I could have written. Of course, there are books that I resonate really deeply with, but at the same time, they are not my work totally. And I feel like the only book that I would feel like I could have written would be a book that I've written. And one day I would love to write a book and write like a novel or something. That's definitely like a dream that I have, but as of now, that's not something that is happening. But if you want to check out some of my writing, I have a Substack. That's my plug. I love writing Substack posts. It's just feels like the most authentic representation of myself and who I want to put forward. A little segue into a plug for my Substack. How do you manage your time with reading and working? I read books that bring me joy or fulfillment or like scratch that itch that I have in my brain at any given time. So the way that I have been able to read kind of a decent amount of books is just by like finding ones that bring me excitement and joy, and through that I find time to read them. And also a lot of my friends are readers as well, and so some of our hangouts will be like centered around like going to a coffee shop and reading, or like them coming over to my apartment and we're like reading or whatever. And also I find that telling people that I'm reading a book will like subconsciously hold me accountable because they know how long I'm taking to read a book. What's your relationship with social media, and have you had any addiction to it? My relationship with social media is probably much like most people's relationship with social media. Not great, honestly. I have a really love-hate relationship with Instagram. I feel like Instagram is great as a tool to connect with people, but I don't like the idea of my existence being a performance. But at the same time, I know I'm participating in that by like making YouTube videos and posting things on Instagram. And I have internal conflicts surrounding that for sure. I don't know, I would love to be more private, but also there is an aspect of like sharing your life or like creating art that is very vulnerable and not private. And I say more like creating art in the sense of like my writing and things like that I do share online. So I don't really share anything explicitly personal that's happening in my life, but sometimes I feel like it's still too much. But I also want to like present a real version of myself and not like a robot that's like, ooh, here's what I do like every day, but like there's no emotion behind it. That just feels really inauthentic. So I don't know, like I don't know. My relationship to social media, in short, is not good, but I still participate in it, and I think that's just the conundrum that I will be in forever. It doesn't really have anything to do with my usage. It's just like the very act of being on these platforms is like a lot for me sometimes. Do I have a guilty pleasure book? I don't know. I don't really feel guilty about like any of the books that I read. I feel like everything is valid. If I had to say like one, maybe it would be Call Me By Your Name, because it's like kind of corny at this point, but like I know it's not, like it's objectively good, but because there's such like a big thing around it, like feels corny to me, and so I feel guilty for liking it. But that's just like an ego thing that I need to untie, undo, unwind in my brain. So maybe that. But like whatever, like literally who cares? No one gives a fuck. Like let people like things, like normalize that. I don't know. Favorite clothing brands? I love Paloma wool. I only have like one sweater from Paloma wool, but if I could have more clothes from Paloma wool, I would. Nowadays, I buy a lot of secondhand, so I don't know. Those kind of like vary. Like there's not really a brand, but I also love Uniqlo for basics, Levi's for denim, Cezanne for knitwear. I do enjoy Reformation. Also, hate to say it, Aritzia for basics. Their socks are awesome, like I'm wearing them right now. I love Vagabond for shoes as well. Yeah, probably those. I'm trying to minimize my consumption and like purchasing of new clothing. Fuck, Marry, Kill, Author Edition, Wolf, Lispector, Vong. I don't know. I can't do that. I can't. 5 books you'll never read or pick up. Olive, Colleen Hoover. I'm not a big romance novel person. I don't like have a disdain for them personally. I don't care what people read. Like I get the appeal behind romance novels. I think my personal relationship with romance is just like a very realist kind of perspective. And so I just don't connect with these like very happy stories about romance and like falling in love. I think they're fun, and I love rom-com movies, but books, yeah, probably not. Favorite French book and one you'd like to read? I really like Lie With Me by Philippe Besson, and I would love to read An Easy Life by Duras because I own it and I've been meaning to read it and I haven't read it. One day I would love to be like literate enough to read like actual books in French, but a girl can dream. And by dream, I mean put in the work and like study the language and try to do that. And you know, we're trying, we're doing, I will say that. Gateway band. I'm gonna assume this means like the band that got me into music. And I remember the first band that kind of got me into like more indie music, if you will, was when I was 12 years old and I heard Two Door Cinema Club, and I was like, oh my god, like this is everything. Like this is everything that I needed to hear. Like I can't believe there's music that's not like pop music out there. Like this is everything, give me more of that. Then we got into Group Love and Passion Pit. Vampire Weekend, very formative for me. Millennial indie music, I would say, very much formed my inherent love for music. Go to silly weekday drink. Probably a matcha latte from Blue Bottle, an iced matcha from Blue Bottle. There's not a ton of great matcha around here, I will say, but I can count on Blue Bottle to have a good matcha, and I will go and get a matcha from Blue Bottle while I'm at work as like a pick-me-up to get me through the day, and it's worth it. It's worth the money. Yeah, I need it. Go to weekend bender drink. Okay, you know what? Let me go back and do an alcoholic version of my go-to silly weekday drink. Honestly, boring, but maybe a glass of wine. I feel like wine is just a tried and true. Like, I know what I'm gonna get. Like, I'm not gonna get too drunk off of it, honestly. Like, not to go there, but like it's real. Like if I get a cocktail, like I don't know how strong it's gonna be, like, you know, but like wine, like I know like it'll just be fine. Like one glass of wine, like I'll be good. But I love just like a Pinot Noir, like basic, but I'm more of a red girl. I also really like natural wine. And there's this brand called, I think, No Es Pituco. At the grocery store I used to live by, they sold it, and I got the Chardonnay, and that shit is good. I like it. It's like borderline chuggable. Not that I am, but also I love a Gruner, like an Austrian wine. I think a Gruner is really like summery and light and cidery. So if you're not like a big wine person, but you like maybe like a cider or something a little more fruity light, and you see a Gruner, an Austrian wine on the menu with some like muscat content, get a little Gruner. And I do that myself. Not to like go all like sommelier on everyone here. I'm not that like well versed. Like I've tried a decent amount and I do enjoy a nice wine, but most times I'll just get whatever the like the glass of Pinot Noir they have on the menu. That was my long-winded answer. So if we're like getting a beverage during the week, that's what I will do. But bender drink used to be a vodka soda. A lot of my friends like tequila. I don't like tequila, but it's just, I find it easier to be like 3 tequila sodas instead of being like vodka soda, so I started drinking tequila sodas. I still do sometimes, but am I having a good time? No, not really. But these days I've been getting gin and tonics. I've been like really dipping my toe into the world of gin. The gateway of that was like a Negroni. Like if I'm having a cocktail, like it's gonna be something with gin in it. I love a Negroni. I recently tried like a French 75, which is like gin, lemon, and champagne basically, and That was really good. Basically like a gin cocktail too is good. Or shots. If I'm like going out, I am like a person that will take shots because it's easy, it's quick, and it's fun too. And if I like drink too much mixer when I go out, ugh, girl, like I am hungover. Like I can't do that. So I don't do seltzers. Like I don't do any of that shit anymore. Like I can't because like it makes me sick and extremely hungover. So yeah. My comfort watch. My ultimate comfort movie is Marie Antoinette. Like I don't even care. Like I don't care. It is one of my comfort movies. I am like also a Marie Antoinette, like as a historical figure, like a stan, and I will advocate for her. Like we need to rewrite her history. The way that we perceive her historically, like in modern times, is just a result of a lot of misogynistic perspectives. So let's unpack that. But I will say, as a movie, Marie Antoinette. The soundtrack, oh, so fucking good. And I would say the soundtrack is what got me into the radio department, and there's just like a nostalgia, and I'm just like, oh my god. Anytime that I like feel off, I'll just put it on and it makes me feel better. However, usually I will turn it off by the end because I don't want to watch the part where like the shit hits the fan, but you know what happened, like it's real. Like I'm like pro revolution, like I get why they did it. Not that anyone literally cares about my opinions about the French Revolution, but apparently I am giving them out, so whatever. Favorite 3 objects you have in your bag at all times. I don't know what's in my bag right now, and I am doing a vlog like right now, so I will probably just film a what's in my bag during that like vlog portion. There's literally nothing in this right now. These are the only things in my bag at the moment. I think my wallet's like on my desk. Like, oh, I have a Sylvian family thing. This scrunchie that I crocheted. I mean, this bag was my mom's. It's like Coach, and I think she got it in like early 2000s or something like that. I have Merit lip oil in taupe. Have Charlotte Tilbury lip liner in Iconic Nude. The Rhode Peptide lip tint in Espresso. Thank you to my sister for giving this to me. And the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Shift thing in Honeysuckle. I will say I love a lippy. I think they're so fun. Favorite pastry? Probably a pain au chocolat. Or, I don't know if this counts, I fucking love donuts. There's a Dunkin' Donuts around the corner from my work, and the guy literally, like, he knows me because if I'm like going through it during the day, I will go and get a chocolate Long John. Sometimes if I go later in the day before they're gonna close, they give me 2 for the price of 1. Like, my tummy's gonna hurt, but my heart is happy. And I will finish off with the book that got me into reading. This was a book that kind of started my like habit of reading books in college and on. But that was Sweet Bitter by Stephanie Danler. I was like, oh my god, like people are writing books about like sexy things, and those things are like restaurants in New York City and like the culture surrounding that and all that jazz. So I think that's all I'm gonna answer. So anyways, this is probably gonna be a little bit of a long video, but I hope you enjoyed learning about me. It feels a little self-indulgent to do this, but like I feel like I like knowing about people, so I thought I would offer that information of myself, about myself. Thank you very much for watching. Next video will be normal and hopefully on my camera and not this, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you. That is all, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.